Hey there guys, and welcome back to Mana Down Under. Today we're doing Aminatou, or Aminatou depending how you pronounce it, the Fateshifter. Now like always, this is just a commander deck idea, me naming cards or combos or things that you need to be aware of with the commander. Not a hardcore deck list, we're not into that, we like to leave a bit of variance for people to build their decks. So the Fateshifter, she's 3 mana, Esper, comes with 3 loyalty, +1, draw a card, then build a card from your hand on top of your library. That first ability makes me think of top decking or deck manipulation. Neg 1, exile another target permanent you own, keyword own, keep that in mind, and then return it to the battlefield under your control. And then Neg 6, choose left or right, each player gains control of all non-land permanents other than Aminatou, the Fateshifter, controlled by the next player in the chosen direction. So looking at her abilities, we've kind of ignored the last one. That's kind of a unique build around ability and it's hard to get it up. It's more of like a donation or what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine kind of playstyle. Her Neg 1 is probably the main part of the deck. The blinking effect is what we've really built around, with a bit of the top deck manipulation as like a secondary theme in the deck. So we'll go through the top deck first because there's not too much to it. So we've gone with Miracles. Miracles are nice and easy. You've got your return to hand or return to library miracles here. So Terminus and Banishing Stroke get them back into the library. Vanishment and D-Tide gain back into the hands. All with miracle cost, so we can manipulate the deck, hit it, and away we go. Then you've got Temporal Mastery for 3 turns at 2 mana, pretty good. Entreat the Angels is great, just huge board presence. Entreat the Dead, if you don't need it, just take it out, because this is more of a control deck, so you don't have that many creatures in your graveyard, but it's up to you, depending on how you want to build the deck. Sensei's Divining Top and Skorak out of every deck ever that manipulates the top of its library. Jason Mind Sculptor is really good, but very expensive, so cut him if you don't need him. And if you're at it, you might as well run Future Sight and Magus of the Future. Those cards give you like an extra card in hand and you can see what's coming. Soothsaying can let you shuffle your library, or if you need to have a full rearrangement for the top X cards if you need to. And since you're doing all this anyway, you might as well try your luck with Counterbalance. If not, it makes everyone second guess everything and just be a little more skeptical what they want to do. Now before we get into the blinking, all you need to know is this card exists, Harmonic from Kaladesh. Just keep it in mind whenever you look at these cards that enter the battlefield that cause things to blink, or when they enter the battlefield to do something, because you've got to double it up. Then into the blinkers. Vents is my favourite, being able to exile any target permanent you own, then returning it end step is very powerful. He's designed for blinking. Neg 1 makes your whole team unblockable, that can win games its own. His ultimate is backbreaking, but no one ever lets you get it off. Conjurer's Closet is a command staple at this point, being able to blink a creature at end step is very handy. Felidar, Guardian, and Flicker Wisp are 2 of the big players in the deck, and they can be used in combo later on. They just let you blink any other target permanent you control. Flicker Wisp can do any permanent though. Braugo, once you get through to the player, you may accidentally exile any number of target non-land permanents you control, so he lets you blink your whole board essentially. Ghostly Flicker and Eerie Interlude let you have more instant speed blinking, and Ghost Away in response to board wipes or really bad situations you can blink your whole team, or if you need a huge stack of triggers, away you go. Then we have the blinked or the blinky cards. These are the cards that we want to keep recurring. This is where we get our value from and win the game pretty much. Spine of Ishtar lets you destroy a target permanent on entry. If you just keep flickering it, away you go. Reality Acid is one of my favourite cards in the foil. So the way it works is you enchant a permanent, you remove a vanishing counter on it, so it takes 3 turns, and then when it leaves play, the opponent has to sacrifice it. The idea here though is, we just blink it when it's enchanted or something, it's left play, therefore left to sacrifice the permanent, but then because you've blinked it comes back into play and reattaches itself. So every time you blink it, you can kill another permanent. It's amazing. I will personally go for the land base and just keep working your way across the lands on the table. Angel Serenity is a multi-utility creature in this deck when you blink it. A lot of people think it's just like exile creatures and hide them underneath. What it actually does is, in this battlefield, you may exile up to 3 other target creatures from the battlefield and or creatures from the graveyard. When Angel Serenity leaves the battlefield, return all the exiled cards to owner's hands. Normally these like O-Ring style creatures give them back to where they were, so back onto the battlefield. Angel Serenity makes them have to pay them again, or in our case, we can target the graveyard and get things from the graveyard we lost back into a hand. So it's like a bit of recursion in that way. Reflector Mage, if you played Standard back in that time period, you know how much of a pain that card was to deal with. Doubling up his effect with Harmonic is very powerful, and that goes to any of these cards in here. So keep that in mind, you've got to remember that doubling effect. Evoke is naturally just a good synergy with the Harmonic. You're getting all these triggers doubled up, it's very powerful. Shriekmaw, it's a removal. Never make is good in the sense it can bounce non-land permanents on top of the library, so they lose a draw and have to redo what they just did. Muldrifter, a standard commander, tons of draw. Slither Muse, it's very fun, but depends on who we're versing. If our opponent isn't draw heavy, not going to do much for you, so that's up to you if you want it in the deck or not. Baleful Strix, another commander staple, one of the best blockers, and it keeps drawing your card. Cloudblazer, the Kaladesh Muldrifter if you will. Sphinx of Ythun, everyone loves Fact of Fiction commander, why not have it multiple turns? Your Primordials are a great option in the deck. They let you steal something from your opponent's graveyard essentially. The blue lets you cast an instant sorcerer without paying its cost, and the black is the same but for creatures. So it gives us a bit more reach, and we can blink these when we need to steal something. More powerful in multi-way games. Now more of the abuses, this is my favourite section. Gilded Drake, I'm sure you've already seen a lot of people talking about it, and it's gone up a bit in price because of this deck. So he's a 2 mana, when he enters the battlefield, you exchange control with Gilded Drake for a target creature your opponent controls, or you sack the Drake. So, the idea is you play Gilded Drake, exchange control, but the way Aminatou's blinking works is a permanent you own, and that's it. You don't have to control it, you do own the Gilded Drake. So you do the exchange, you blink the Gilded Drake, because you own it, but you do not control it, comes back onto your board, and then you can exchange it again. It's great. You can steal so many permanents with it, or creatures I should say. Gonti and Hostage Taker, a similar idea. So when Gonti comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of their library, you may exile one of them face down, put the rest on the bottom of the library in random order, and as long as they're exiled and you have Gonti out, you may cast them with however you could with what mana you have. Same idea with Hostage Taker, when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature or an artifact, and you may cast it. The idea is you play Gonti or Hostage Taker, you do the exile part, you play it with your mana, and then you blink him again, do it again. It just gives you a bit more reach. Glen here is, this is a bit silly, this one. So the idea is, Glen has Persist. So they play a non-creature spell, you sack Glen in response to counter it. But her Persist triggers, she comes back with a negative counter on her. And then, you flicker her, or blink her on the spot. Then she comes back in play, loses that counter, and then you can sacrifice her again to counter spells. Ashen Rider and Angel of Despair are just good forms of removal. One's a bit more costly than the other, but it has a bit more reach. Magister Sphinx, you're going to lose a lot of friends playing this card. I hate people who play it, but it's that good in the deck, you kind of have to run it. If someone gets ahead in life or go infinite, this card can bring them right down into reality. Massacre Worm is very fun because you can hemorrhage everyone from losing creatures. You don't have that many, so it doesn't hurt you too much, but the token players of the board better be careful. And if you blink it multiple times and you stack that neg2 effect on, ooh. Then your Titans and your Gearhulks are really good options because they have enter the battlefield or attacking triggers. Suntine just walks on the deck, we keep recurring everything from our graveyard. Gravetime can just make you an army. Noxious Gearhulk can remove anything it needs to, and you gain a ton of life in the process. Duplicate becomes its own form of exile removal the way Imprint works, because it just enters the battlefield, you exile target non-token, and then you can blink it again, do it again. Now into actual support. So Kaya, she doesn't blink like Venser does, but she can blink herself, which is how she gets her loyalty back up, and another creature, and you lose 2 life. You don't really care about the life, because you got 40. So she's an interesting one. Don't need her, but she does help out the deck a little bit. Your Oath are really powerful. You can run the Oath of Jace, but I prefer Liliana and Gideon. Liliana in the sense that she makes them have to sack a creature, and it can create zombie tokens. And Gideon in the sense it does protect your board with 1/1 tokens. And Aminatou comes in, Aminatou comes into the battlefield with an additional counter. And these can be flickered as well. Don't forget that, you can blink these. Oath of the Teferi literally blinks something when you play it, and it lets you activate your loyalty abilities twice each turn. Again, it's more support for our blinking mechanic on our commander. We need this. In the same idea, the Chain Veil is a must-have. I would have it here just for the commander, but if you do want to go a bit more Planeswalker heavy, it's just more support to you. Now, I know the Drake and Palinchron are creatures, but in the sense of this deck, they are ramp in a weird way. When they enter the battlefield, you get to untap 5 or 7 lands. In this deck, your commander goes neg1 or another blink, and you get to untap however many lands you need to. Very powerful in the deck. I love Coveted Jewel. It's a great card to chase around the board, have fun, and because if someone does gain control of it, you can blink it with your commander, then get it right back and draw 3 cards. It's very powerful in the deck. You might lose it now and then for a few turns, but you're going to have it most of the game. And because you're doing all this blinking and so much is going on, Altar the Brood isn't a bad option. You can put a little bit extra pressure from a different angle on your opponents. Your tutors are a must-have. I think Enlightened and Vampiric are probably the way to go. You really need to have Pan Harmonic on out all the time, or as much as you can. It really just makes the deck a bit too much for most people to handle. So any tutors that can help you get that card out is what you need. Lands, there's a couple that do support the deck. The Void is just another way to do a bit of scry. So if you feel like you're in a bit of a pinch or you're trying to find a card you need, you can blink the land a few times till you find what you need. Bajuka Bog is just a form of graveyard hate. And if you're versing multiple opponents with graveyard interactions, you can just keep blinking the land if you need to. The Maya just helps you recur creatures you've lost, which is very good. And the Marsh here, some people have gone on to it, it's a bit of a combo, weird one. If you have Pan Harmonicon out, and 2 forms of a blinker, one your commander and something else, as long as you have 2 target opponent blinkers, you can keep doubling up your blinking effect, and you can just keep recurring the Marsh till you siphon them down to 0 life. And like always, there's plenty of cards I haven't mentioned. Your Esper, take what you want in terms of control. You have the best to pick from. Take your own counter spells, removal, board wipes, take what you like and that works in your playgroup. Consider Sad Robot as a good option. He does fetch a lot of basic lands out of the deck. And a weird card which has killed me a few times as standard, which is pretty good. Call for Unity. The way Revolt works, as long as a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, you put a Unity counter on it. Each creature you control gets +1/+1 for each Unity counter on it. A lot of people just leave this card and just forget about it. I've died a few times to that card in standard. It's very powerful in this deck, all that blinking. It's very possible to give all your creatures +5 to +10. So, just a card to consider. Alright guys, how do you want to build the Fateshifter deck? A lot of people are building it different ways. Donations, blinking, top deck manipulation. I kind of want to avoid that one because I've done a few decks like that already. But I like it. I think it's a fun commander deck. It's very abusive. Blinking always is their own commander. So, let me know guys, how do you want to build the deck, or how have you built it? And yeah, have a good one guys. Thanks for watching guys. Please remember to like and sub and click the bell icon for notifications. It's greatly appreciated. And if you have any deck or video ideas, just suggest them down below. And have a good one guys.